Hey y'all, it's Hunter Elliott, rangehot.com. Hope you're doing well. This evening I'm finalizing my review on a relatively new pistol from Wesson. This is their little ECP model. First thing I want to show you is I do have the magazine out. I have locked the slide to the rear, verify the chamber's empty, so with a little gun it's safe to talk about. My particular test sample here is a 9mm Luger, but it is also available in .45 auto. You've got a full-sized receiver made of aluminum. The overall length of this pistol is 7.64 inches. The height is 5.4 inches. The width is 1.25 inches. And the weight comes in at 29 ounces. The barrel length is 4 inches. And you'll notice here it is a bull barrel. So this is running a bushingless system. A little short 3.5, 4-inch guns. It is better to run a bull barrel, though generally speaking, I prefer a standard type barrel bushing. MSRP on this pistol is $15.75. And I measured the trigger pull, breaking really clean at 4 3/4 pounds with just a cat hair take up and a little bit of over travel. Capacity on the 9mm model is 9+1. Capacity on the .45 auto is going to be 8+1. So that's basically all of the specifications of this gun. If you missed anything, just jump back over to rangehot.com. There's going to be a written article. I'm going to have all the specifications of the gun, what rounds we shot through it, how it printed out at 25 yards, all that sort of stuff. This is just basically the video overview. So now that we've got that, let's go over some of the features. I'm going to start here at the top. You have a windage adjustable rear U-notch sight, and the face of it is nicely serrated, as well as the top of the slide being serrated. And what that's for is if you're shooting any kind of bright light or bright sunlight or whatever, that serration is going to help break up any kind of glare. Front sight is a nice little brass bead, and that brass bead coupled with that just dark rear sight provides a lot of contrast. It lets you get on that front sight pretty quick. You've got a skeletonized speed hammer, nice generous deep beaver tail with a palm swell. As you know, the palm swell is just a little bit of added insurance for when you're grasping this gun, you're disengaging that grip safety. Coming down here to the mainspring housing, it is nicely serrated, and you can tell it is bobtailed. If you're running the gun, you're carrying it under your t-shirt or under your shirt or whatever, you know, the full-size 1911 receivers, you got that sharp mainspring housing may kind of poke out of your t-shirt or whatever. It being bobtailed is just going to add to the concealability a little bit on the gun. So also the front strap here is nicely serrated. The thumb safety has got plenty of serrated real estate on it, so whenever you're trying to get that thumb safety off and on, it comes off with a nice audible click. And then you got your slide stop here that's also nicely serrated. A lot of things I like about it, a couple things I don't. It does have these nice beautiful G10 stocks, but they are held on by Allen head stock screws. And y'all know I whine about that a lot because I like the flathead stock screws, because all the little parts and pieces in the 1911 are designed to help detail strip it. We did take this little pistol out, shot it from a rest at 25 yards. It was averaging 2.5, 3-inch groups, which I thought was fantastic, especially for me with iron sights. As far as rounds downrange, all total were somewhere around 500 rounds, and that's a myriad of ball and all kind of defensive ammunition. Throughout the review, regardless of who shot it, we didn't have any kind of misfeeds or malfunctions. The little gun has been reliable since day one. You noticed it wasn't too long ago that I reviewed the TCP, which was also a very fine pistol, but a lot of people have been asking me which one do I prefer, the TCP or the ECP, and I'm going to be honest with you, I think I like the ECP a little bit better. I really do. And a lot of people commented that it shot nice, and they kind of started favoring the ECP for the most part. But there were a couple folks out there that preferred the TCP. So you understand that Wesson makes all kind of different models for all kind of different folks. So as usual now, because at rangehot.com we hold the 1911 to a little bit higher standard, I'm going to detail strip this pistol. We're going to look at all the little parts and pieces and check it out. Okay, y'all, so I've got it all detail stripped. And as I was detail stripping it, this is the first time I've had it apart, I take note of a couple different things. The first thing I want to point out is this does use a reverse recoil spring plug. So you're going to have a little tool to field or detail strip it to hold the tension off the spring while you're getting it all together. A bent staple works just perfect. When you tension the spring, you put a little staple in there. There's a hole in the guide rod. Takes the pressure off everything, allows you to begin to get it all apart. It does have this aluminum receiver, and I know a lot of people tend to shy away from aluminum receivers on guns because, you know, the nose of that bullet coming out of the magazine can tend to beat up on the feed ramp. But like a lot of Wessons, especially the ones with the aluminum receivers, you do have a fully ramped barrel. So that does help take a lot of the wear and tear off of the receiver. I've got this little 4-inch bull barrel in my hand here, and I'm looking at the radial locking lugs on the top. They all appear to be nice and clean and crisp. Looks good on that part. And then if I look in the bottom of the slide here, They are also clean and crisp, the mating area, the mating surface. And while I've got this in my hand, I just wanted to take note that this pistol does not run any kind of firing pin safety, so be advised. The hammer here, the hammer hooks are still nice and crisp and sharp. The mating area on the sear is also no chips or dings or breaks. The sear disconnector looks fine. The lug on the thumb safety is good to go. The firing pin stop. Once again, Dan Wesson in their forward thinking, they're using a reduced radius firing pin stop. If you're really curious, just jump over to rangehot.com. My buddy John Travis, 1911 tuner, he wrote me a real nice article on the benefits of a reduced radius firing pin stop. Though they are still not kinking the plunger spring, so when you take that thumb safety off, you better have your hand handy to get a hold of it. It's going to go out in the grass or the yard or whatever, and you'll be looking for it. I see that the trigger here does have an adjustment for your over travel. I didn't adjust it. I left it like it was from the factory. It was pretty good to go. So I've got it all detail stripped, and like I said earlier, I got about 500 rounds downrange. And while I realize that's not a tremendous amount, a lot of those were some hot defensive loads. And so within that amount of time, if there was something wrong with the gun or if there was a part that was not quite right, I'm pretty sure it would have shown up by now. Something pretty cool is Dan Wesson is putting little O-rings around the stock screws, and basically what that's for is when you snug them down, that little rubber O-ring is putting even tension on the stocks here, and that kind of helps keep everything in place, keeps them from wanting to back out. So everything looks pretty good. You know, I do a lot of reviews for Dan Wesson, and I've come to the conclusion that I have really yet to review a bad gun from Dan Wesson. They are all really nice 1911s, or the ones that I reviewed, and I'm pretty confident they're not cherry picking the ones that I'm getting. So I have formed a really good opinion on these guns. Now I know they're a little bit spendy, but you are venturing into what I'm going to call, you know, semi-custom territory. I mean, these guns come with a lot of custom features like checkering and flat mainspring housings and match grade bull barrels and stuff like that. And understand that stuff takes time, it takes effort to fit, and it's more expensive. Now, I always mention this too. All the little parts and pieces in the Dan Wessons, these are all steel. These are not cast or MIM. You know, and when you start machining these parts from steel, they get expensive quick. It also takes a whole lot more time to get them finished correctly, get them heat treated and that sort of stuff. So, while, yes, they are expensive, it's a defensive sidearm. So, if you're on a budget, like I tell folks, buy cheap toilet paper, buy cheap paper towels. Buy nice guns, man, because, you know, God forbid one day you ever had to rely on this pistol to defend yourself with, and your cheap MIM thumb safety or hammer broke. Well, there ain't no do-overs. So just food for thought. If you're trying to budget your money a little bit better, I would not consider my firearms to be a category that I would compromise on. That's just me. Now, I have spoke most of the review about the little gun being designed for concealed carry, and while I believe that is true, I wouldn't see no problem going out and shooting some local matches with it. I mean, it's plenty accurate, plenty reliable, easy to control. It's a fun gun to shoot. A lot of people commented on how nice it was. So while you could certainly buy this to be your EDC, there's a whole lot more that can be done with it. It could fill a lot of roles pretty well. So, you know, if you were on that tight budget and you were looking at buying 2 or 3 cheap guns to do 2 or 3 different things, maybe just buy one real nice gun that can do a lot of stuff. But anyway, that's just my opinion. But that's about it. I'm going to reiterate that I'm 100% satisfied with the pistol. It didn't give any troubles, issues, or problems. It was 100% reliable and accurate. So I'm going to put this thing back together and get in the house. But I want you to remember that, like I mentioned earlier, there is going to be an article on rangehot.com with a lot more of the technical information. So if you want to jump over there and check that out, that'd be cool. If you've got any questions or comments, just reach out to me. You can find me on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter. We do the social media gamut. Or reach out to me through rangehot.com. Shoot me an email, comment on the video, whatever. I'll be glad to help you any way I can. If it's something I don't know, you can always reach out to the good folks at Dan Wesson. There's some pretty knowledgeable folks there that can get you squared away. So that's about all I got. I want y'all to take care of yourselves and each other. Look forward to seeing you at the range.